guys, welcome to the first episode of the Haunted Cafe. Are you excited, Emily?
Kinda.
I'm excited. It is spooky season. It's actually Halloween,
Yes,
or
it is.
day before. We're recording this the day before Halloween, but we're probably going to be uploading it on Halloween. So
Happy Hallows Eve.
yeah. So either way, happy Halloween.
Yeah.
So part of this podcast is going to be us talking about the tea that we're drinking, because basically what we're going to be doing on here is sipping tea and talking about spooky stuff, right?
Yep.
What, are you going to have an accent the whole
No, I'm not gonna have an
whole
accent
podcast?
I might put on a few accents here and there, but
All right, so today we're going to be trying Stash's mango passion fruit tea. It's
in case you guys didn't know what Stash was, I don't know if it's like an actual thing, but
yeah, it's an actual like tea company.
We got one of those like random gift boxes for Christmas. I think you ordered that
I ordered
off
it
of
for
Amazon
you, yeah.
to go for Christmas. But yeah, they have like so many different teas inside that box. It's actually really cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so we're going to try the mango passion fruit. It's caffeine free. I'm not sure how much we're actually going to get into like talking about the tea and stuff.
yeah, we won't get too much into it just
because
because we're not teologists, so we don't really
and
know.
we know that most people are going to be here for the spooky stuff, but you know.
We sit here, drink our tea, and talk.
Yep. So just as a little like fun thing, the ingredients are rose hips, orange peel, lemongrass, hibiscus, sassaflower, natural mango flavor, licorice root,
Ew.
citric acid, and natural passion fruit flavor. I can't talk. I don't know why we're doing a podcast.
And what flavor is it? Oh, it's mango
Mango
passion
passion
fruit.
fruit.
Yeah.
All right, so let's pour.
Let's do some pouring of the tea, shall we?
It's really hot. I'm scared to touch it.
It's really clear tea. I thought it was going to be a lot cloudier than that, but it is mango, so.
Why are you talking during the pour?
Oh, sorry.
Oh my goodness.
My turn to pour. Now you shush. There we go. Now this tea is extremely hot.
Yeah, like
I'm afraid to drink it right away.
yeah, with us, we're also recording these while we're talking.
Yeah.
Obviously, hi.
Hi.
So yeah, we're gonna wait to let those cool because that's really hot.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab some ice cubes though, so we can just put it in there. By the way, for people who don't know, if you want to cool something down really quick, you're not worried about it being too watery. You get like ice cube, because I drink black coffee, and that's what I do. I put like 2 ice cubes in there, so I can just start drinking it. So I gotta wait like an hour.
Yep. All right. Well, while Alan's getting ice cubes, today we're gonna talk about the origins of Halloween. It's actually a lot more destructive than I remembered hearing about, because you know we'll get into it, but it's a lot more destructive.
Do you want any ice in yours? No?
Yeah, I'll take one.
You don't have nowhere near as much tea as me, so.
Well, I didn't know how much was actually there, so I was like, I don't want to pour too many or too much.
Too much tea.
Yep.
Don't want to overdo it on the tea.
All right. So tell me this
Smells pretty good.
this story that you've come up with. It does smell really good.
I gotta get the incense smoke out of my face.
And we lit incense because it's really relaxing. The incense we actually have is by Ganesh Sticks, and it's called Flowering Cactus. Extra rich flowering cactus.
I thought it was the jasmine.
No, it's not the jasmine.
Okay. I really like that.
Yeah, but I like this one. It's got a very nice, soft scent to it.
Yep.
So maybe we'll do that. We'll talk about the tea and the incense we have lit.
Yep.
I'm sure everyone would love to know. I'm gonna try this tea since it's cool enough now. It don't really taste too much mango. It's more green tea than anything.
Yeah.
Is it just a green tea? What is it? It just says caffeine free. Okay.
It's herbal tea, so it's not a green tea.
Just a regular tea. It's not bad though.
Maybe it needed to steep longer.
Maybe.
Or more packets.
Maybe, yeah, because it only comes with how many packs? Like 1 or 2?
Just one.
Just one, yeah. So it's going to be very weak tea. It's like for like single cup use almost.
Mhm.
All right.
All right. Well, anyway, so let's get into the origins of Halloween.
Yes, let's.
To start the tale of Halloween, I must start with the Celts. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, Celt or is it Celts?
Celts.
Okay.
A lot of people say it different.
Because I don't want to say it wrong,
I mean,
but I'm going to.
Everyone's going to correct everyone on how it's actually supposed to be pronounced. I'm just going to say Celts because, I mean, you have
It's easier for me to say.
Yeah, I think there's a team, like a sports team called the Celtics or the Celtics. I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Anyway, the Celts were a group of people who lived over 200 years ago in the area that is now known as Ireland. well, it's your origins too.
Yeah, yeah. This is my origin story.
Here, so they actually lived in Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France. So, which I didn't know that. I thought it was all like specifically Ireland, but at one point in time, they were the largest group of people in ancient Europe. So look at you, Ollie.
I come from a large clan.
In fact, they were made of. Sorry, I read my notes wrong.
They were made of cotton candy.
The Celts were not one entire kingdom, like as most things were back then, but they were made of like tinier tribes. So that's kind of where the Gaelic comes from, like that language too. Like there's a bunch of different like ranges of Celts. So, but they did share like the same culture and the same like parts of languages, if that makes sense. Like they had pieces of languages.
Yeah, yeah.
The Celts celebrated the year by dividing it into 4 sections. And they had like fire celebrations that were going on each section. It's basically big ass bonfires.
Okay.
4 times a year.
I don't mind that. We have cats, just so you guys know. So if you hear like meowing and scratching, it's because,
Yeah.
they're just being kitties.
Yeah, they don't know we're making a podcast. No, they're just going to make noise.
Yeah, one of our cats is in heat because we have yet to get her fixed, so she's probably going to be meowing really loudly.
But enjoy the kittiness.
Yeah, right?
So these fire celebrations would go on February, May, August, and November. And November being Samhain is how I learned to pronounce it.
Okay, then.
So I'm probably gonna mess it up, but Samhain, in the Celts' time, they would light hearth fires in the family homes, so like your actual like fireplace, and then they would let them burn out as they gather the harvest, kind of like we're starting to gather everything, and then as time goes down, we're gonna let it burn out while we're gathering.
Like, by the way, for the people who we're probably going to butcher a lot of words as we do this podcast.
I can't talk.
Well, it's not only that you can't talk. It's just that
it's not that you can't just talk.
It's just there's a lot of foreign words that are odd to pronounce. We do have to look up like every single word on like Google Translate, and even Google. Like, I don't even think they say stuff right because they be talking about roads on Google Maps and they say a different name twice for the same road. So I have no idea what it is.
All right, so they would start a fire in their home fireplaces called a hearth, and then they would let it burn out as like slowly dwindle down as they go and gather the harvest. After they finish gathering all the harvests, the
harvi,
the whole community would meet together and light a huge bonfire. Which,
awesome.
They would actually use a wheel.
I think I was watching a History Channel documentary on this. Oh, poor kitty. Hold on, I gotta open the window for my cat. She's scratching at the blinds. I'm sorry, Gyps. See? But yeah, I think I was watching something on a YouTube, some sort of History Channel thing. I forget what it was. But if you guys ever watched it, it's where like this small group of people do like live action reenactments of how they used to live and stuff like that. I forget what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Is it called like Living History or something like
Living
that?
History, something like that, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I know what you're talking about when it comes to the wheel. I've seen that.
But yeah, they would use they would get like a big like wagon wheel, and somehow they would like spin it or something, and it would cause friction and actually spark the flames. I didn't watch. I should have watched like a video on it, but
I know on the Living History they tried doing it, and the
work?
wheel just broke down as they tried rolling it. They had to carry the fire, I believe, down the hill just so it would like bring in the new harvest or whatever.
Huh.
So,
that's weird.
Yeah.
But the wheel was actually a representation of the sun and was used with like along with like prayers.
Oh, okay.
So like because like how the wheel of the seasons is like.
Yeah.
It's all one
the circle of life.
Yeah. I was even going to say that. It's like one big circle.
Yeah.
Cattle, of course, was sacrificed. And then they would take the pieces of the fire and they would bring it back to their houses.
That's pretty cool.
As kind of, a circle. The fire died out there, so then they, bring it around. The Celts also believed that the barrier between the physical and the spiritual world would break down around this time, giving like the ghosts and stuff access to our world, or vice versa. Yeah, that's even what I put in my notes. Giving a chance for humans and spirits to interact.
Very nice.
Since the veil was believed to be very thin, the Celts would dress up as animals and monsters so that they were not kidnapped.
What?
Because they were, well, you gotta understand, like, in this point in time, it was starting to get darker out earlier and longer. It was also starting to get colder, and, like, it started to get spooky. So they were like, we have to protect ourselves from the unknown.
Yeah, I think that also has to do with paganism too. I think at one time pagans were doing something similar. It's pretty okay.
It's kind of like, I don't know if they were like the origins, but they were kind of like part of the starters.
What made it happen? Pretty much. It wasn't just a bunch of pagans being afraid of the night because it was getting darker sooner, and they were sacrificing animals so they can save themselves from it being dark too early. Stuff.
And
like
also to save themselves for the next harvest.
Yeah.
So, they had a few monsters that they believed in. And that they would roam around during this time because of the veil being thinner. One was a shape-shifting creature called a puka, like puka shell.
Puka.
Yeah, I even wrote a enunciation or whatever, because I was like, funny. I'm gonna call it like puka or something like that. So it's called puka.
I choose you.
Usually it is seen as a horse, a dog, a rabbit, a goat, or an old man. So it likes to change its,
I'm just here walking in the spirit realm. I don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Oh no, that's a monster. I don't like it.
Anyway.
Are you acting as it, being scared of itself?
Yeah.
It's like it sees itself in the mirror. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I'm so ugly.
It also receives a small portion of the harvest to prevent itself, its wrath, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't really know what its wrath is, because it kind of just like,
you kids better not make me angry.
Shows up, yeah. I mean, I didn't read too much into it. I probably should have, but maybe we'll cover it in a different episode.
Get off my lawn.
Sorry.
They also had to fear the Lady Gwen. She was a woman dressed in white, and she was known to be headless, evil, and vindictive. Which I don't know why. I didn't look it up, showed off, but
reminds me of my ex-girlfriend.
Wow.
Evil and vindictive. She was only headless after the fact.
She would pretend to be lost. She would pretend to be a lost soul and would lure and chase men who were traveling at night. And she also had a little piggy friend. I didn't catch it.
A little what?
Yeah, it's a little pig. She would have like a little black.
So
pig
is
friend.
Winnie the Pooh without a head and Piglet running around trying to kill people. Wouldn't that be a story?
No, because she's a pig. Or she's not the
How
pig.
How dare you?
Oh my goodness.
No, she's Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. Okay, I get it now.
Oh, bother.
Man. As time went on, the fires became like more personal. People would have the fires more closer to their house instead of like traveling, like the whole community gathering together, and it would be kind of like a symbology to protect the family from fairies and witches. Like,
okay.
Like it's
because
also
at the time, I think for furries, totally different subject. Fairies were considered evil, and now they have like good fairies.
Oh, yeah, they're still evil though.
Yeah, I mean, depends on who you ask.
It depends on what kind of fairy you're talking about too.
The Tooth Fairy, man.
Yeah, she's evil.
Yeah.
But like, so basically, the reason why they brought it closer to the house is so that way, one, you don't have to travel far at night and worry about, the creatures I was just telling you about. But then they don't also have to worry about witches and fairies, too. Mm-hmm. So, as Christians, of course, I'm not hating on Christians, but they do step in a lot during history.
Of course.
As they began to step into Ireland, churches attempted to redo Samhain as a Christian holiday. In the 5th century, Pope Boniface was I think that's how you pronounce it.
I think it's Boniface.
Boniface?
Yeah.
Was the first to attempt to change the holiday. He changed it to May 13th and made it a day to celebrate saints and martyrs. It's basically only about, like, the good people and not, like, trying to worship everybody, which is kind of what Samhain was about. It was more so, like, just, like, a big celebration of the harvest and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the Christians and stuff had to make it more like about worshiping the gods and the saints and stuff.
So are we able to record as long as we want on this? There's no cap to it? We just keeps going? Oh, okay, cool.
I think so.
Not used to that.
We'll figure it out. It's our first episode. So we're figuring stuff out.
Figure it out as we go.
Yep. But this didn't stop the celebrations in November. People still lit the fires then because that's when, they were known to do it. I don't know why he honestly changed it to May 13th because it wasn't preventing anything. They were still having the fires the 4 times in the year. So, you know what I mean?
Christians.
So in the 9th century, Pope Gregory moved the celebration back to October and November because it didn't stop the fires. But he called it All Saints' Day, aka all the good Christian people. And I'm not I'm not hating on Christians, but that's just what it seemed like.
I find it funny how they were trying to avoid evil spirits, and the evil spirits just decide to disguise themselves as popes. And you're like, you know what? We're actually good. We're not evil, but it's still symbolizing evil.
Wow.
In its own right.
Huh?
I said in its own right.
Yeah. And then that day, of course, happened November 1st, which I think it's still a holiday. I didn't pay attention to that. I only pay attention to Halloween. Yeah. But I think All Saints Day is still a thing.
No idea.
And then the next day, November November 2nd is All Souls Day. This day was the day that people would pray for all the lost souls that were trapped in purgatory. So still, once again, not praying for everybody, just praying for the people that they felt like needed it. Yeah. I guess. Along with the bonfires and the costumes, poor people would go door to door to the wealthier families and get soul cakes, and in exchange for praying for the souls of the homeowners' dead family members. This was called souling, which, honestly, it's the newest or the earliest version of trick-or-treating.
Interesting.
Because, you'd go door to door.
It started off with cakes.
It started off with poor people going door to door for cake.
Can you give me some cake, please?
And then eventually children would take this over and to get food, money, and ale. This was called guising. It's Guising. Guising. I think disguise, so guising.
Yeah, probably guising. That's where the Halloween costumes came in at.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
Somewhat anyway. They would dress up in costume and either sing a song, recite a poem, or tell a joke.
Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. If you don't, I don't care. I'll put down your underwear.
Okay, with that note, we're gonna cut real quick, just because our camera is gonna die. So we're just gonna refresh it, and then we'll be back. Okay, so while the camera is doing its business and we're getting it set back up, I think it's time for an ad break. Now, these ad breaks aren't a usual ad break.
No, this is not. We're not getting paid by this ad whatsoever. It's us.
Yeah, it's our ad.
So some ads we might add that aren't us. We might like speak about other channels later on down the line that we find pretty cool and interesting that you guys should check out. But for right now, we're gonna do ours.
Yeah. So we also have a YouTube channel called Snack Praisers.
Yes.
And I'll try and leave a link in the description show notes,
if you can do
whatever
that,
the heck they're called. You can. I just know. But yeah. So what we do there is we basically test weird and random snacks, and we've
mostly some of it's. I mean, it's like normal snacks that you find. We haven't gotten to the weird stuff yet. Yeah. Some of it's kind of odd, but later on down the line we will have weird stuff.
Yeah, we've also been eating a lot of ramen too. So.
Yeah. So it's Snack Praisers isn't just specifically snacks. Like we plan on doing meals later on down the line. We have an H Mart near us where we're going to be grabbing a bunch of Oriental food and stuff like that, and trying out the different ramens they have, the different Japanese candies and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're interested in that, the YouTube channel is called Snack Praisers.
Yes.
And once again, it's Snack Praisers.
Yes, Snack Praisers.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody can hear me.
For those in the back, Snack Praisers.
And yeah, hopefully you guys will check it out and you'll enjoy it. And it's different from this content, but
And you get to see us in person.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not in person because we're not talking directly to you because a lot of the stuff is recorded way beforehand, but you get the idea.
Anyway, all right, time to get back to the story.
Yes.
Okay, so The next section I wanted to talk about is how did these traditions end up in America? Because, as far as I know, right now it's only the Puritans and stuff like that have come to America. But actually, I'm so glad that you asked, Alan, because, you definitely did ask.
Oh yeah, totally asked.
Irish and Scottish immigrants began coming. I tried. But yeah, anyway, Irish and Scottish immigrants began coming to America in the 19th.
That's a different kind of video.
In the 19th century. So yeah, all your relatives came over here. Actually, they're my relatives too, a little bit. Yeah. They were looking for an escape from the potato famine, which Alan didn't think was real.
I didn't think it was real for some reason. It popped into my head like about a week ago. And I was like, was the potato famine real, or is that just something that popped into my head for some reason? Like I'm getting like PTSD as if I've gone through it.
In the early 20th century, the Irish and Scottish communities brought their customs such as souling and guising to the U.S. Then in the 1920s, things changed, and not for the better. In Ireland, boys would make turn-up jack-o'-lanterns.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they would drag the cabbages on string through the fields to scare people. So these are kind of like their pranks that they did. What
did dragging cabbages through a field to scare people? I don't know. Do with anything?
That's what I didn't
understand. Was it supposed to look like a rolling head or something?
Or maybe just like if it's corn, it like shakes the stalks or whatever.
Maybe. I mean, you could just do that with your hands. There was no need for the cabbage.
I don't know. I didn't really understand it. Maybe they're standing on like one side of the field.
And then, and then they're pulling the string. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
huh. And they're pulling it through like aggressively to freak people out.
I didn't really understand that because I was like, where are these people when this is happening?
We should try this out one day to see how it works. Like if we could find a cornfield that we could use, which I highly doubt because farmers are like, no, get out of my corn.
But, I mean, if we just went up to a farmer and be like, hey, we want to pull a cabbage through your cornfield. I'm sure they'll let us.
If any pieces fly off, it'll make good fertilizer.
Yeah, there you go. So I didn't understand that, but glad we talked about it.
Yeah.
The Scots would actually light up a cabbage stalk, so like set it on fire,
wow.
and then they would smoke out people's houses. Yeah,
Jeez.
It did stink.
Wow.
They would put because like all of my information came from the History Channel.
Oh,
so like what they would say was they would basically like stick it through their keyhole.
Oh jeez.
In their doors, and like all the smoke, all this like horrible incense smoke would like go into the house and it would stink it up.
Almost like lighting a bag of poop on fire.
Kind of, except not as nasty.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It probably smells pretty bad because cabbage freaking stinks.
Yeah,
so.
I really don't like the taste or smell.
I don't mind the taste. I just can't stand the smell.
Yeah. In America, the tricks were almost endless. They would put farmers' wagons and their livestock on barn roofs.
How?
Just throw them up there.
So you just take a whole freaking goat and just put it on the roof. You just pick up a whole cow.
I always felt so bad.
Put it on the roof.
Because like this is at night, so you put them on the roof, and they're either going to jump down and hurt themselves, or
they're going to stay up there.
Be stuck up there.
And then as soon as the farmer walks out, hey, get me down.
Yeah.
These two freaking kids, man.
They would uproot vegetables, which kind of sucks because it's like
because you're messing with people's money.
Livelihood, and they would also tip over outhouses, even if someone was inside.
That's still something that goes on these days.
It's so gross.
Man, when I came here to New Jersey, I didn't know what to expect.
Halloween actually became also known as Gate Night because not little kids, but like teenagers, they would actually take the gates off the hinges and allow livestock to escape. So it actually became like known as it happened so often that it became known as Gate Night. Halloween actually went through a bunch of different like labels.
No wonder people have been trying to cancel it for so long.
Yeah. The invention of the car, not cow, allowed.
This thing just popped into my head when I was sleeping one night. What was it? I don't know. It just made a sound like. We should make it.
The invention of the car allowed more pranks to start, such as removing manholes from the street, deflating tires, and putting up fake detour signs.
So like Mischief Night.
Yeah, that's basically what it was, but it was Halloween night. Because at this time, there wasn't any, like, trick-or-treating going on.
Yeah,
you know. So, instead of going door to door looking for, looking for candy, they would go and prank people.
They're going door to door looking for trouble.
Yep. As cities became larger, pranks became more destructive.
Of course.
They set fires, broke glass, and even tripped people. They would splatter flour on people that were, like, just walking down the street.
Almost like how kids do nowadays with paintball guns.
Only this was, like, 10 times worse. Not 10 times worse, but...
Let's say, have you ever been smacked by a paintball?
I would say probably less painful. Because, like, literally, you're just walking up and, like, throwing flour at people. Whereas, like, the paintball, it's hitting you and explode.
Hard.
Yeah. In Kansas City, youths waxed streetcar tracks, causing one of the streetcars to, like, go off rail and actually hit another car, seriously hurting the conductor.
Wow.
Yeah. So, basically, as technology advanced, so did their pranks, because, they thought of more ways to mess with people.
And nowadays, Elon Musk is giving YouTubers flamethrowers.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he was for a little bit. I don't know if he's doing it anymore, but you got Just Dustin, who had a flamethrower from Elon Musk. Like, he bought it. Like, people are like, even the Dangy Bros, they bought a flamethrower.
But they're not...
They're not using it for anything bad, but who knows if somebody else had that kind of money, they could really do some effed up stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's just like strictly for YouTubers or not, but
people started getting upset by these pranks, obviously. Oh, yeah. And in 1902, the Cook County Herald in Arlington Heights, Illinois said, and I quote, "We would advise the public to load their muskets or cannon with rock, salt, or bird shot, and when trespassers invade your property at unseeming hours upon mischief bent, pepper them good and proper so they will be cured and have no further taste for such tricks."
Good.
They literally want them to shoot kids.
It's funny too.
It's understandable. They're not hurting them. I mean, they're hurting them, but it's not like injuring, like
it's injuring.
Killing them.
Yeah, it's not killing them. That's the thing. But like that's funny too, because like, even on Mischief Night, I'm a very paranoid person. Mm-hmm. So on Mischief, me on Mischief Night, I get ready for the worst.
Plus, nothing has ever happened.
No, nothing has ever happened, but you never know.
Yeah.
Like I'm loading up my airsoft guns. I'm getting like all kinds of bludgeoning weapons ready. Like I'm ready to hurt somebody. Like there's one group of people I told you about that. One of the Mischief Nights that I did, where I was living with my stepdad at the time. They were going up to the doors and like ringing and knocking on the doors hard as hell.
They're just having fun.
Yeah, well, when it's 2:00 in the morning and then you're banging on the door loud as hell for no reason whatsoever, you're gonna expect to get shot at. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So I pulled out my airsoft gun and I just chasing down the street, cursing them out, like lighting them up and everything.
I remember. I don't even think this was Mischief Night. I think it was just like one night, but the kids in our neighborhood put so much nasty stuff in our mailbox, it wasn't even funny, and then we had to clean it out. That's so gross. Like it Yeah,
I am not one of those people to mess with on Mischief Night. Let's put it that way.
No. Which tonight's Mischief Night.
I know. So
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting ready.
So, in 1907, pranksters in Tucson, Arizona, stretched a wire across the sidewalk to trip passengers.
Wow.
Passerbys,
yeah,
same
passerbys.
thing.
Passengers.
Yeah. One pedestrian was thrown to the ground, and they actually drew a gun and killed one of the jokesters.
Well,
and
that's like understandable.
Kids.
Well,
but still, I understand, but it's really messed up, though.
It is messed up, but guess what? You had it coming. Maybe you shouldn't have died per se, but you're gonna get. I'm just a violent person.
Well,
I guess.
I don't know though. If I'm walking down the street and I get tripped, I'm not gonna like go shoot somebody because it's not.
Why not?
Well, first off, I'm gonna be like, did I trip on my own foot? Because that happens all the time. So. And then also that same year in Logansport, Indiana, a woman's heart stopped after her daughter answered the door to a group of boys who thrust a grinning pumpkin in her face. Which I'm like, a little dramatic, but yeah. But I'm sure she had like problems.
Yeah, she probably
like,
it's just
because here's a pumpkin, and then like
it wasn't here's a pumpkin. It was more like a pumpkin.
Yeah, yeah. So
it wasn't gently. hey, pumpkin. It was a, fuck you, pumpkin. Like,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. And then we're going a little bit back in time, but back in October 1879, so like I said, a little bit farther back, 200 boys hid along the train tracks in Newport, Kentucky, as they placed a stuffed body figure on the tracks.
Wow.
When the train came through, the engineer slammed his brakes. He jumped out and rushed to help the figure, only to find out that it was a horrible Halloween prank. He wasn't even really mad. The thing, though, because he remembered pulling those same pranks when he was a kid.
Yeah.
So he couldn't even be mad. Which I'm like...
I understand that. Like, if they're like, well, I was stupid, you know, kids will be kids, which is a freaking thing that I do not understand why that's a thing now. But at the same time, it's like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that to me seems more serious than... serious of a prank than, like, just... ringing a doorbell and thrusting a pumpkin in somebody's face, though.
Well, I mean, it depends.
It could cause more damage, though.
Yeah, but you scare very easily.
Yeah, I do.
Like, very, very easily.
Yeah.
So if somebody came up to the door, if you didn't have a little peephole to look through in that door, and you just opened it, and then someone...
be slamming the door.
Yeah, you'd be slamming the door, your heart would be racing, you'd be shaking. Like...
I don't know what that noise was, but okay. And then things only got worse as the U.S. went into the Great Depression. The Great Depression was the worst economic downturn in the history of the U.S., lasting from 1929 to 1939. It started after the stock market crashed in October 1929.
I was going to say 1990. What?
Yeah.
I lived in the Depression? What?
I'm not going to go like fully into the details because you know
that's a whole other history book.
Yeah.
So.
But basically what happened was consumer like goods slowed because unemployment had risen, causing unsold goods
Sounds like what's going on now, honestly.
to just pile up.
Oh wow!
And that caused factory production to slow down.
Yeah, which is going on right now.
Caused more people to lose their jobs,
which is going on right now.
Raised unemployment.
Yep.
On October 24th, 1929, 12.9 million shares and investors began selling I'm sorry, I messed it up. On October 24th, 1929, investors began to sell overpriced shares, causing the crash. At that night, like that time, they sold 12.9 million shares, which is like record breaking. Mm-hmm. This was called Black Thursday. And then 5 days later, on October 29th, Black Tuesday, 16 million shares were traded that day.
Wow.
Shares ended up being worthless at that point because I don't really understand it fully, but it's either because so many shares were being swapped at that time, it literally just caused everything to go under. I'm not really good with like money or anything like that, so I don't really understand the full like aspect, but I do understand like what happened. Yeah, so during the Great Depression, because it was 1929 to 1939, the Halloween of 1933 became known as Black Halloween.
Sounds like a typo negative song.
Kind of, yeah. Hundreds of teens flipped over cars, sawed off telephone poles, and broke glass. They also started fires. So, like, this is, like, the most destructive it has ever been. Like, yeah, you know, few people have died, some damage has happened, but this is, like, the most. You know, fires are being started now.
Wow.
Yeah. Some cities seriously considered banning Halloween, which
still
obviously, but I mean, it's kind of understandable.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
Yeah, but this forced parents to become creative. They started organizing trick or treating, costume
contests,
costume parades.
Oh, okay.
I can't talk.
Pretty much just to keep the kids' minds off things. Just keep them busy so they don't get bored and start getting destructive.
And fun fact, the first full-running Halloween parade was actually in Allentown, PA in 1905.
My town, PA.
This was even, like, way before the Great Depression. They were already doing Halloween parades. So, it seems like it was already a thing.
Yeah.
Just no one actually, like, organized one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they also came up with haunted houses.
Awesome.
Yeah. They describe the haunted houses like this. Hang old fur, strips of raw liver on the walls, where one feels his way to dark steps. Weird moans and howls come from dark corners. Damp sponges and hair nuts hung from the ceiling to touch his face. So, like,
you know
they were getting really creepy.
You know
back
how
then.
many people would be freaked out by that? Like,
I would be freaked out.
Especially with the way everyone is now, when like everyone's like highly susceptible to anything really, and like just walking to, and all of a sudden you just get smacked in the face with a wet wig. It's like
or like touching liver on the wall or something like.
Ugh,
like Halloween houses now are spooky, but Halloween houses back then, I'm scared. Halloween houses back then were just like
it was directly to the point. There was no decorating. It's like you're touching that liver and that wet wig.
Yeah, like, and that sponge and stuff
and that sponge.
Get it, you know?
Like the Eastern State Penitentiary. It's not even that scary. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to go there.
Yeah. I told you,
not during Halloween though. I'm terrified of spooky stuff.
Well, I like spooky stuff.
No thanks.
So. I remember I told you I got hugged by a tree. Yeah, like one of those people that have like those really tall tree costumes, but still, I don't get scared in haunted houses. I just don't, because I know it's fake. So it's like it's not going to scare me. So I walked by this giant tree, and I was like, whoa! I was like, can I have a hug? And I got a hug. I was like, fuck yeah!
Oh jeez.
Oh.
All right. So, there's Alan's haunted house story.
Yeah.
Even though Halloween became calmer with all of this stuff going on, the trouble didn't end completely. Kids still wanted the candy and the treats with trick-or-treating, but they also wanted to cause their mischief, which, you know, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really break kids of bad habits, I guess. No.
I mean,
that's not really what I
them.
mean. But I mean, like, you know, they've done it for so long, they're still going to want to cause that mischief.
Yeah.
That's basically what I meant. So
that adrenaline pumping feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where Mischief Night comes in. So they moved it to the night before Halloween.
Interesting.
And which I thought was pretty cool. They actually call it Goosey Night in New Jersey, which is where we're from. So I don't know why it's called Goosey Night, but
oh, did you get the goosies? Sounds like something that should have been made in London. Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's what.
No, I'm serious.
It sounds like it was something that was made in London or something. Did you get the goosies? I think that's what they call it, and they don't call them goosebumps. They call them goosies.
Maybe. Goosey
I'm pretty sure I've seen like TikTok videos about that.
Let us know. I don't know if there's going to be any comments wherever you post.
Yeah, probably not.
Because I know Spotify doesn't, but if you see this on YouTube, comment.
Yeah.
Because we are posting these on YouTube.
Definitely. Excuse me.
Now the damage wasn't anything to me compared to what it was. Basically, they would just do like soaping the windows.
They were cleaning people's houses.
Yes,
from destroying them,
cleaning them. Spraying shaving cream, which probably on windows and stuff too. Throwing eggs and tossing toilet paper. So basically, what it is now. Yeah. It got the only place, or not the only place, but it seemed to get really bad in Detroit, Michigan, where fires actually kept going.
Jeez.
During the 1970s and 80s, so we kind of like took a big jump. Halloween night was set ablaze in Detroit because people would set trash cans on fire, old buildings on fire, dumpsters on fire. Yeah, basically whatever they could find.
Was it those environmentalist movement guys that would just light stuff on fire so that way it wouldn't be littering?
No, they never set anything on fire.
No.
The move people that Bailey talked about?
Oh, I don't know.
No, they never set anything on fire. Not that I know of, anyway. But no, these were kids. Like, these were, like, teenagers.
Well, I mean, they're still some, they're not helping the ecosystem, but they're helping the environment by setting trash on fire. They're kind of cleaning up the streets. They're getting rid of old buildings. You know, they're forcing people to knock them down to rebuild for new places. You know what I mean? They were kind of helping.
Sure, Alan. Yeah, so in 1984 itself, 800 fires were set in a 3-night arson spree.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I got something in my eye. Oh, it hurts.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Detroit actually responded to this by creating a dawn till dusk curfew for kids under the age of 18. So, It actually seemed to help because they also had a city watch that would have garden hoses ready in case anything any fire started.
That's funny.
More
I thought they
than
were gonna spray the kids down. I was like,
Yeah,
what are
go
you
to
gonna
bed.
freeze them to death?
get to bed, squirt, squirt.
I'm not a cat.
All right, and then there were actually 30,000, if I'm reading this number correctly. 30,000 people actually participated in patrolling the city in the 1990s. So, like, this was still going on even in the 90s. So, speaking of 90s, we're going to take an ad break. Actually, the camera's just dying, so we're going to switch that out.
Yeah. Give us a second.
Alright, so now the camera's recording again. For some reason it went crooked, unless it's always been crooked.
That's okay.
Y'all are okay. Anyway, so now we're going to talk about Halloween in the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody's going to know what I'm talking about here, except for the younger generation, because honestly, I'm 25, and I barely remember the 90s, but I was born in 96, so...
So you're not a 90s baby?
No, I never said I was.
Yeah, well,
I just said that I don't remember it.
Ugh. Okay, just ugh. I was born in 92, so I was raised in the 90s.
Good for you.
Thanks.
But I feel like Halloween really kicked off in the 90s.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because before, I don't know how it was in the 80s and 70s, but I feel like 90s, there were movies coming out. There was the McDonald's Halloween buckets. They were coming out.
Yeah, the buckets. Well, I think a lot of the Halloween movies came out in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Friday the 13th and stuff like that.
Yeah, like Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. Yeah. Pinhead, I think, came out in the 80s. I don't remember.
I don't know.
But there was quite a few Halloween movies in the 80s. I think 90s is where all it started to become fun.
Scream, I think, came out in 96.
Oh, I don't know.
One of them. Ghostface.
Yeah, but
so at least
I feel
there was some...
Yeah, I feel like the old Halloween movies in the 80s were a lot more scary based than they were cool based. And the 90s kind of dulled down the scariness to make really, really enjoyable movies.
Like Hocus Pocus came out in the 90s.
Nightmare for Christmas, I think, came out in the 90s, late 90s.
Maybe. I don't remember.
But yeah, they started coming out with really cool Halloween movies in the 90s.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like that the 90s embraced Halloween.
Yeah, they did.
So
the 80s helped kick it off.
Yeah. So just as a little fun thing, I found this website where it's 15 things from 90s Halloween
that we all fondly remember.
So I'm going to read them off and have Alan fondly remember his childhood because I don't remember nothing.
Okay.
So
Here we go.
Oh yeah. Okay. So full-size candy bars.
No, they don't make full-size candy bars anymore.
No, they make those little mini... we just got Halloween candy, and they're really tiny things.
Yeah. Well, not only that, full-size candy bars are expensive now, but even the full-size candy bars now are not actually full-size candy bars because they're split in half. That's not a full-size candy bar.
Okay, Alan. We just upset him.
It bothers me.
Alright, number 14 is window clings and full-size door coverings.
Yeah.
So,
those are still a thing.
The pictures that they're showing are, the old vintage,
the furry, oh my god.
The vintage,
little furry pumpkins that have the felt on them and stuff like that.
The happy little pumpkins.
I can't tell you how many of those my mom actually had throughout the house. That was awesome. I was good to see that.
we call them vintage, but they're not vintage.
No, they're not.
They're 90s.
Now they're vintage.
Some of them are.
They're more retro. They're retro.
And I remember the foam, they're not foam, but they're plastic piece decorations.
What do you mean?
Because
there's a lot.
They're like things that you stick in the ground, but they're foam not foam, they're plastic little, I don't know how to describe them. I'd have to look them up. They're they make a cat, but it's made out of little tiny pieces of plastic that was...
the drips. The drips,
maybe?
They did it with Santa Claus a lot in the 90s. Yeah. You got the really the hard plastic pokey Santa Claus thing that they would come out in the 90s
on YouTube,
Christmas.
I'll post a picture. You're not gonna be able to see it, podcasters, but I'll show you on YouTube.
Yeah.
I remember those. Those might be a 2000s thing.
That might be a 2000s thing, honestly, because I don't think they showed up till later. Because that pumpkin with the cat and everything with the bright smiles, that was definitely 90s.
Yeah.
I think that it might have started off in the 80s just because they look a lot older than what the 90s should have been, but...
Google Doodle's first Halloween theme actually occurred in 1999.
I don't know
and
what
it was
is.
2 pumpkins. And so, how doodles.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So that happened 1999.
I thought that happened way later.
Me too.
Okay.
Scream costume craze. So we were just talking about Scream.
Yeah, we were
so
just
like
talking about Scream,
Ghostface.
Yep.
The year 1996. So my birthday is when it came out. It's still Halloween. Honestly, Scream's really popular now.
Yeah.
And I think it's still coming
they're
out.
It is. I think they're coming out with a new movie soon, and they also have it in Call of Duty, or whatever that game is that has all the scary characters. I think it's Call of Duty, because Scream, like, they have like some sort of DLC for like Call of Duty, to where like you hunt down all the scary characters or something. I hate Call of Duty, so I don't know what it is. Call of Duty is they're trying to reach so hard to everything now. It's unreal. That's a whole other story.
Okay. Another thing is the Halloween commercials that used to come on.
The Halloween commercials are always funny as hell.
Like,
what's it showing as a photo?
Pizza Head Halloween.
Let me see.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, I think he had like a high pitched voice or something like that. I think that's what it was.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm Pizza Head. Oh, it was like going after the whole claymation thing.
I wasn't around here really. Oh,
that one. I think it was trying to mock
or whatever. His name,
something
Mr.
like that.
Doe or
Mr. Doe. I think they were trying to imitate that with the pizza thing.
Oh, we got 5 minutes, guys. So
okay, yeah, we got 5 minutes. So we might have to do a part 2 to this.
But
so it does limit us to an hour.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because like other podcasts go on for like 2 hours or more.
Yeah, they probably sit next to each other.
Alrighty.
So.
Well, anyway, so real quick, number 10 is cereals with Halloween themes.
Yeah, like Boo Berry, Count Chocula.
They have those.
The Ghostbusters, Frankenberry.
Yep. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween.
I do remember that.
I don't remember that.
I vaguely remember that.
Plastic Pumpkins.
Plastic Pumpkins are still huge to this day.
That supposedly started in the 90s.
Really? Damn, I didn't know that. Wow.
TV specials with Halloween episodes.
Yes.
So like they're showing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Friends, Home Improvement, Boy Meets World.
Yep.
All of those.
Home Improvement. No, Home Improvement was a really funny show.
Photos in Candy Mountain, which I don't know what that meant, but
Candy Mountain,
they would collect
Charlie.
so much candy that they would end up taking a photo while standing in the middle of the candy.
Maybe that's where that whole unicorn Candy Mountain Charlie thing came from.
Maybe.
So it's an old video from like the early 2000s.
I don't know, maybe. Hocus Pocus was obviously a thing. We just talked about it.
Yep.
McDonald's Halloween Happy Meals, and they're like
the little glowy buckets. Yep. I also remember the little tiny little fidget toys that you would get with them. They were supposed to be little chicken nuggets. I think those were also the 90s, but they had like it's a solid plastic, and they had like costumes on.
Oh.
Yeah. And I had so many of those when I was a kid. It was unreal.
Huh. Okay.
I think that was the 90s. It might have been the early 2000s. I don't remember
know, actually.
But I do remember those Happy Meal boxes though. Sorry.
Number three. I'm just trying to rush a little bit.
I know.
Number 3 is Universal Studios Horror Nights.
Oh, okay. So that started in the 90s too. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Hell Houses started in the 90s. So, like, instead of the standard, like, haunted house, it's a Hell House, which were, like... It's attractions run by various church organizations to scare the hell out of the guests.
Wow. Okay.
They focus more on real-life scenarios dealing with sin and the afterlife.
Oh, well.
They were controversial for its graphic nature, which, yeah.
It's church.
But quickly grew into one of the more popular things to do during the Halloween time of year.
Wow.
So it's like, let's go to this church where they're going to try and make us repent our sins, but we're just going for fun.
Yeah, we're just going to go for fun.
And then number 1 is Elvira.
Really? Of course Elvira would be number 1.
But
the big titty goth girl. Of course she'd be number 1.
She did root beer, Decor's Light, commercials. Yeah.
I never really had a thing for Elvira. I always thought she was kind of odd. I didn't like her.
Wow.
But
all right. Well, that was the top 15 of our child. Or
I wouldn't mind having this as just an entire episode. Just talk about the 90s. That'd be really
could
cool.
do that, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just kind of the first podcast. We were just kind of having fun with it.
Is there any more left?
No, that's it.
Oh, that was it?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So we did
I
finish
stopped
just
at
in
the
time.
90s.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Cool.
So the next episode, I think I'm going to be talking about the Jersey Devil. Which I have read so much about it, and I think everybody will really like it.
Yeah.
This podcast is basically just going to be talking about creepy stuff, weird stuff, myths, legends, Whatever we feel like talking about.
And we might come up with other podcasts talking about specific subjects, just to put our names out there a little bit more. But
But thank you guys for listening. Please be sure to check in on the next episode. Yeah. And thanks for visiting.
Yeah, let people know about us. Sorry, go ahead. Thanks for visiting what?
Cutting me off and stuff for the outro. Alright. Yeah, let people know about us. And thanks so much for visiting the Haunted Cafe.
Sorry.
And happy Halloween, guys.
Happy Halloween. See you guys in the next one.